everybody, and welcome to another edition of T Watches a Scary Movie. My name is T, and of course, we're talking scary movies. I appreciate you tuning in for another brand new review I have here for you. Remember, check out the YouTube page so you can stay afloat on all the reviews that I'm dropping. Yes, of course, I have audio-only versions of my full-length episodes, but reviews like this one here are only going to be available on the YouTube page, which is youtube.com/C/Theron Reynolds Scary Movie. Again, that's youtube.com/C/Theron Reynolds Scary Movie. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you get subscribed to it because, again, I drop extra reviews on the YouTube channel that I don't do like in the audio only versions that are in my full episode. For example, most recent episode 121, I was reviewing episode 6. Yeah, episode 6 of Chucky. He is risen indeed, along with the late 2000s Jim Carrey, Joel Schumacher thriller, The Number 23. So there's an audio version of that out here. But the movie that I'm talking tonight, The Menu, which I'm so excited to get into with y'all here. You can only catch this one here on video, so you gotta subscribe to the channel so you can make sure you're getting all the good details here. So, I already mentioned, that's what I'm talking tonight. We are talking The Menu, directed by Mark Mylod and written by Seth Rice and Will Tracy. Now, if you know the name Mark Mylod, you might know a fantastic romantic comedy from back in 2011 starring Anna Faris and Chris Evans called What's Your Number? You might have also seen some of his TV work, including, I don't know, Once Upon a Time, Entourage, or another one called Shameless, United States of Terror, or even another one that y'all like right now a lot, Succession. Yeah. So already there should be a lot there just in the filmmaking crew to get you into this. But then when you talk about the cast here, we have Ralph Fiennes, Anya Taylor-Joy, Nicholas Hoult, Janet McTeer, John Leguizamo. It is a fantastic cast as well. And it tells the story of this young couple, Margot and Tyler, played by Anya Taylor-Joy and Nicholas Hoult, who travel to an exclusive restaurant called Hawthorne that's run by celebrity chef Julian Slowick, and a number of guests who get to enjoy this very, very exclusive meal and find out that this meal might have a few extra courses than what they were prepared for. Now, you've probably been seeing the trailer for this film the last few months, attached to pretty much anything that's been horror related that's been coming out. I'm pretty sure I got to see it back when I saw Pearl back in September, and being absolutely intrigued from it right off the jump, just because the way that the movie itself looked in the trailer, and then just by the cast that was in it as well too. The story concept of it itself, that who knows, maybe this restaurant is killing its patrons that show up there as a way to get back at them for, being the help basically. But I didn't really know that much about it, and these days I try to really avoid learning too much about a lot of horror films before I see them, unless it's a big franchise one that I'm super into, like Scream, for example. I want to know everything I possibly can without spoiling big details about it. But with something like The Menu, I like to be pleasantly surprised. And boy, oh boy, y'all, I've been talking for months at this point now that I didn't know what else we had this year that was going to really be able to shake that top 10. Because the top 10 films I've had for horror this year, they've been pretty solid over the course of the last 11 months now. And even though we still have, we still had some good ones that were coming out, I wasn't too sure where this was going to end up placing. And y'all, I'm going to start this off letting you know right off the jump, The Menu, if it's not my favorite horror film of the year, it is certainly tied for that honor with X right now. This movie was absolutely fantastic. I am still thinking about it, a day later after getting to catch this preview screening of it. And folks, just blown away, absolutely blown away by what I had a chance to go and see. right off the jump there, the fact that the movie is very, very much stylized, at least in certain parts, like a very elegant cooking show, which is interesting because some of these characters, including Janet McTeer's Lillian Bloom, as well as John Leguizamo's movie star character, are very much involved in like the food industry. Like John Leguizamo, his character is trying to pitch this traveling food show where he goes around to different countries and he's tasting all this different food. You know, we've seen a show or two like that. And Janet McTeer is playing this very famous food critic who's coming to have this great meal at Slowick's restaurant and is looking to critique that. And it's very, very interesting that one of the things that stood out to me visually, and just it added the necessary levity to the situation in such a gruesome set of circumstances, was that every time a course was introduced over the course of this film, we got this stylish representation of the meal that was being presented. It didn't matter how ultimately gruesome some of these meals ended up being. We got to see this meal presented as if it was a cooking show, as if we were watching Food Network and like their best show that they had presented on there, and just the meal is plated perfectly with the garnishes and the proteins and the veggies and the smoke and just the presentation of it, and then the stylized title of that dish, you know, in the corners of the screen along with the ingredients in it. And right off the jump there, visually it stands out so differently from a lot of other horror films that we've got in this year. You know, Pearl, which funny enough I mentioned was the movie that I first saw the trailer for the menu on. Pearl is definitely a standout visually across this entire year. It's in glorious Technicolor. It looks kind of like The Wizard of Oz. It's taking you back to those films in like the early, like in the 30s and the 40s that just look so vibrant when they finally did get color on screen. And the menu is shot and presented and edited in such a way, and definitely have to give credit here to the cinematographer Peter Deming on this as well, because my Lord, I never thought that I could feel so damn hungry after watching such a brutal and terrifying film at that too. And that's coming after seeing Fresh this year, which Fresh definitely had me considering cannibalism just a little bit now. Fresh is a fantastic film. Make sure to check that out on Hulu, by the way. But I wasn't expecting a situation like this to get me so damn hungry, but that's how good they did, is that no matter what was going on, whether I was laughing, whether I was feeling tense, whether I was breathing hard, my heart was racing, I still was hungry throughout this entire movie. And that's after having a lovely dinner with my wife before this movie too. Man, I was salivating watching all these meals that were being presented. And you know, the theme that's running across the menu here is that all these people here, all these people that are at this restaurant, that are attending Slowick's like a very exclusive dinner meal here, you know, they're all unfortunately at risk, because all of them at one point or another have committed some kind of sin. And the movie's not necessarily about, you know, the fact that they're out there necessarily hurting other people or anything. And I'm not going to reveal the kind of deeper secrets that lie there, because again, 10-year rule, as y'all know, the way that it works here on this show. But needless to say, everybody that's at this dinner, there is a reason why they are there. There's a reason why they are being targeted. And as the secrets are revealed over the course of this meal, it just keeps adding more and more to the mystery of our main character, Margot, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, as we obviously realize from the jump, within the first few minutes of this film, we realize that she is very much out of place being there. And that adds another very intricate and interesting theme to the film about, you know, you see it in the trailer, you know, are you with us? Are you with them? And that obviously this is something that's picked up by the head chef here, the master chef, played by Ray Fiennes. And there's just such an interesting dichotomy between watching the way these other guests are treating the service staff and the chef himself and the sous chef and these dishes and everything that they're eating and that's presented to them, versus the way that Margot kind of looks at this food. Because, you know, Margot almost looks at all this food with I don't know if reverence is the right word, but with a different appreciation of it, as in, this is all just like for show, and this is all very much just like it's upper class for the sake of being upper class. It's all right, but it's nothing really fancy. And one of the things that stands out is that one of the first dishes that these guests are served before they even get a chance to sit down in the restaurant are these very much embellished oysters. And Nicholas Holt's character Tyler has all these things to describe these oysters and how they should be enjoyed and what's the actual good part of it. And Margot, retorts that I would have liked it was just oysters at that point. And I'm in that same kind of boat, because it's like, I don't need all this presentation and shit. Like I love food. I absolutely love food, and there's nothing wrong with enjoying alternative means of presenting food and the rich versions of it. I guess there's nothing wrong with that. But for those of us who will probably never experience those kinds of things, I feel like we have such a deeper and different presentation of items like oysters or s'mores or a cheeseburger at that as well too. And as the movie goes more and more, we see the kind of love and the commitment and the dedication that this entire staff at Hawthorne has to their chef. And again, it's very reminiscent. You can't help but to evoke themes of like Gordon Ramsay or Bobby Flay, because I'm sure all of us at some point have watched an episode or two of Hell's Kitchen or any of the other mini shows that the guy runs now. And you see the way that people respond when they're put in that situation with somebody like him, and it's very interesting that there's more respect. There's definitely more respect the way that Slowick is presented to his staff here at Hawthorne. There's a actual love, and not to say that people don't work for chefs like Gordon Ramsay or Bobby Flay don't love them, but there's a very clear love and mutual respect that's given from these chefs to the head chef at that point. And when certain rules are broken, like for example, it's told right off the jump, don't take photos of the food. This is supposed to be an experience that you just immerse yourself in and you live through it. You're not eating at that point. They're told very blatantly, don't eat. And not as in don't actually eat the food there, but if you're just eating, you're not really appreciating what's in front of you. And when these rules are broken, we get to see how important these concepts are to the people who are making this food, and the dedication, how much heart and sweat and tears and everything, their very soul is in everything that's being presented. And some people don't even remember what the name of a dish is, and they're not really that complicated dishes to remember at all. And that had me thinking the entire time, like I don't go to too many fancy restaurants, if ever, honestly. I've been to Del Frisco's once or twice here now, but how much appreciation really goes into the people that are behind the scenes that are preparing this for you, that we scarf up or we get rid of here just like that, and then that experience is over, whereas they put in their heart and soul into something that's on our plate. And sometimes they don't get to get that appreciation from us that they might expect out of it. And the story is very it's very thrilling. It's very suspenseful. My heart was racing at a number of different times, but it's also very different from what I expected as well too. And I don't want to tell you what those expectations are, because it would definitely ruin what you might think this film is going to be walking into it. But what I will say is that this is a case to where I really enjoyed the way that the trailer was cut versus what was ultimately presented on screen, because it's a very, very different it's a very, very different film than what I got out of the trailer. Maybe other people didn't have the same expectations that I did coming out of it, but I expected that this was going to be maybe a little bit maybe a bit more faster pace, and I don't mean that in a negative way. But I mentioned movies like I mentioned a movie like Scream earlier, and I typed out X a bit earlier, and those are very much slasher films. And this is not a slasher film at all. I'm never given that intention to say it was a slasher film, but it moves at a bit of a slower pace while still at the same time being very, 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 very forceful and very, very purposeful with its actions and with the things that happen in the film when they do happen. There are some very, very tremendous highs over the course of this film. It's a bloody film for sure too. Like that is one thing that I don't think I was expecting coming out of this, is that this film was as bloody as it ultimately was. And that's going to be good for a lot of y'all who might be looking for something just a little bit more on the brutal and bloody side, because it might be a little too highbrow. I feel some people are going to look at that and have that feeling coming off of it. But Lord knows though, it's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic film. And I found myself going back and trying to capture like the theme of the evening, because that's something that Nicholas Hoult's character Tyler does say, both in the trailer and the film itself, that, you know, there's an overarching theme to the menu that's presented itself. And after watching it, I was like, my God, I have to watch this again, because there are certain notes of the theme that I've definitely been picking up, but I don't think I got it all. And I still fucking love the movie, and I still don't think I picked up the entire theme of what was being presented here with the menu itself. And I do know I'm going to have a greater appreciation for the stuff that I'm cooking on a regular basis after seeing this for sure. But it's a fantastic film, y'all. I don't think that I've been pleasantly surprised by a movie like this in quite a while this year, because again, this could have been fine just being run-of-the-mill and something mid-range kind of horror flick, and it wasn't that. It was so much more than that, honestly, that I think a lot of you are really gonna get a kick out of this when you see it. It's hilarious, by the way, as well too. It's fucking funny as hell. It's witty, it's funny, it's mouth-watering, it's a bloody good time, folks. This is an 8-course meal of succession, absolute success here for these filmmakers and this cast and crew. Gotta check it out. It's in theaters right now, y'all. The Menu. Hey everybody, I appreciate you checking out this video, whether it was a review, whether it was a new episode, whether it was an unboxing, an interview, or whatever else. I want to remind you can check out my separate reviews also on my YouTube page, and new full episodes go up every Wednesday night on YouTube at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and on your favorite podcasting platforms at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like and share. My name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared.